The first thing I thought that we'd do was maybe just go around the room and ask people what grounding means to them. There's no wrong or right answer. This session is going to be my take on grounding, and that's just one way of looking at it, but everybody will have their own take, and some of you might go, I don't know what it is. So, and that's absolutely fine as well. But just so that I can take the temperature in the room, I'd like to know, like, what does it mean to you? And then I'll be able to gauge what I'm going to talk about from that. Okay.
I'll start.
Nice.
I would say it's having enough of an understanding and a good feeling to share it. Just that's, I want to keep it simple. Enough of, not 100%, grade A, under enough of an understanding and a good enough feeling to share it.
Nice. Anyone else?
I'll go next. So grounding to me just feels like when I'm calm and when I'm present and when I feel like exactly where I am. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, lovely.
I'll go next. So to me, it means having a really quiet mind where I'm not judging anybody else. I'm just very comfortable and calm and quiet in my own space.
Lovely.
I can go. Yeah, pretty similar to what people have been saying. I think for me, it's when I just sort of feel like solidly okay, whatever's going on around me. And I can feel the difference when I'm not. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, I was just kind of say the same thing as the rest of you. When I think grounded, I think of chaos, and then all of a sudden just kind of having that chaos around you, but you being at a level. Like kids everywhere, or if you're in a busy area and it's like too much, you can get into that space where it really doesn't matter where you are. You can just kind of mute all of the background noise out and kind of just be present with your mind, and like everyone said, just calm and that peace kind of thing.
Nice. Lovely.
Yeah, similar to, I guess, everyone else, I think it's just like feeling at home and feeling that security. And like mentioned, in the midst of all your thinking, that you're already well, and having that security and that faith and that trust in yourself. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Just you left, Alfie.
Yeah, I just missed the question. So is it what's me grounding, or what's my understanding of grounding in the principles? If that's different.
What does grounding mean to you?
Grounding means to me, my ability to be really just present to what's there. So not necessarily even about everything having to be calm or something, but just present, to be still even when there's a hurricane going on around.
Lovely. Em, I know you've just joined us. I don't know if you can speak.
Yeah, hi.
Sorry, not that Emma, the other Emma who just came on.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. We were just asking the question before I do my little thing. What does grounding mean to you? Did you want to contribute to that?
Yeah, I'm not feeling very grounded at the moment. So it's a perfect right, I'll put my video on. Hold on. Hi everyone. Grounding to me is just about being still, I think, is the and being and the knowing, you know, that deep knowing that you're always okay and safe and have everything you need. So for me, that's important, because then I'm grounded in my own being. Yeah, and I think just stillness comes up for me, you know, that just quietness, so you can still have stuff going on, you know, like lots of stuff in the front parts, but actually, you know, there's that stillness, and trust that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, I love everything that everybody said. And isn't it amazing that I can imagine that you might have thought, oh, you know, when we ask the question, what does grounding mean to you? Like, it's a bit of a, oh, I don't know. And then look at the beautiful stuff that's come out in that conversation. And similar, but not all the same, right? It means something different to everybody, which is absolutely right. Now I'll give you a little story, and I'll give you why I think grounding is important, and why I would encourage you to know what your grounding is and lean into it when there is chaos, because there is sometimes chaos. So for me, I'll give you my sort of take, if you like, first. For me, grounding is knowing when I'm in that place of space and non-judgmental and calm, and knowing when I'm not. And being able to know that I can get back there. And I think a couple of people alluded to knowing that you're not grounded is just as important as knowing when you are grounded. And I've used it a lot, and it's changed for me a lot over my time. But specifically in prison, I think Emma Shotton, is it Shotton? Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, Emma Shotton.
I think Emma Shotton said about chaos and kids and so on.
Yeah.
Working in prisons like that. So working in prison, as a few people here can attest to, there is chaos a lot of the time, especially in the men's prison. There's shouting, even in the room, there's shouting, sometimes there's press ups going on, there's posturing, I've been in rooms where men are leaning out the window and shouting to somebody else on another wing, and you know, I mean, it is pretty chaotic. And then it's chaotic outside the room, and there's shouting and there's music and there's banging, and you have to stay grounded to the oasis that these residents, these people come into, is really for that feeling, not really for anything that you say. So I've been in the middle of that, and what happens is, when I go off my grounding, that they do too. So when I get heady, everyone gets heady with me. And when I get grounded, more often than not, they get grounded with me too. And I'm sure Wendy can identify, resonate with that in a school. So I would notice that all of a sudden people would get very argumentative or resistant or opinionated, and there would be suddenly a discussion in the room. So it would go really quickly as well, because we love content, us human beings. We go in there as soon as there's some content to talk about, and really quickly we go from a really quiet room to a absolutely, you know, chaos with everybody shouting over each other. And I used to want to like shush them and, you know, calm everyone down and everything else. But I came to see that if I looked at myself, where am I right now? I would usually see that I was off my grounding. So what did that look like? That looked like I've just said something that was an opinion rather than a truth. So I might have said, my favorite one, everything happens for a reason. So we don't know that that's true, right? It's just something that we really like to believe in, but we don't know that it's true. So someone else would go, oh yeah, well, are you trying to say that, you know, my child died and that was for a reason? And what are you going to do? Are you going to say, yeah, and go down that route? Or are you going to rethink where you're at? And I would rethink where I was at, and I would realize, oh, actually, I am not basing what I'm saying in the universal truths. I'm basing it in something that I believe in. Or I'm getting heady myself and I'm describing somebody else's story. That can take me off my grounding. You know, I've seen this great diagram, and I'd go and draw this diagram and I'd be trying to explain this diagram, but actually it wouldn't have come from me, and I wouldn't be really embracing it. And so I would be getting a little bit heady with my explanation, and they go heady really quickly. So I just really learned to get grounded, see where I was and get grounded. And the how-to part of that for me, and you've all got your own explanation of grounding, so you'll all find your own how-to, but there's the simple how-to was get quiet regardless to what else is going on, and allow my mind to settle. So for me, that might be just taking a moment and ignoring everything else and looking out the window and just allowing myself to settle down. And I might not settle all the way to grounded from there, but I settle enough to be helpful in the room. And one of the things that I found, that people are so forgiving. So people love it when you say, I don't know, or hang on a minute. I'd often say, hang on a minute, I've taken you down a right rabbit hole there. Let me just take a moment. And they'd carry on chittering and chattering, and I'd take a moment, because I don't really care where they're at. I care where I'm at. And then I would find myself getting calm again, and then able to go back in. And in seconds, people would come to where I am. I always used to talk about it in terms of I'm standing at the edge of a beautiful lagoon with a waterfall and sweet smelling flowers and birds. And who doesn't want to come to that lagoon? Even if they don't want to jump in, they want to come and experience it. And when I'm there, they all want to come with me. So I'm going to ask you all a question in a minute, but the reason I wanted to share this with you is because it's probably one of the most important things to learn. When you get a letter, and you know, you all do groups and you all do your own stuff and so on, and maybe you don't do groups, maybe you're walking the dogs or you know, working on one-on-one with people, or just in your life. If you can know in your life, I'm off my grounding, it's going to save a lot of arguments. You know, I'll see it with my husband. I'll see that I'm getting sensitive, or feeling judged, or feeling picked on. And I'll know it's not him. I'm off my grounding. And if I can get grounded again, I can come back to the conversation, and it can be more fruitful. So that's one reason. But when you get letters, it's the same thing. So you might read the letter and there might be something in there that triggers you. There might be something that you don't agree with. If you can get yourself grounded again, not react to that, you'll see the letter in a different light, or you'll find a way of answering it, or you might ignore the thing that's triggered you and just talk about something else. You'll do all sorts of different things, but it just helps to be really useful to write from that space. Now, you might call that space love, or, you know, in your own well-being, or, you know, with a bigger level of awareness or consciousness. You might call it all different things, but to me, it all boils down to, am I grounded or am I not? And being able to take the next step from that position. So just pause there. Any questions or any thoughts or anything that you'd like to share on that so far? Alfie.
That's really interesting. And what I heard, or what I'm curious about, is, yeah, so you're saying if you're in a room with a bunch of guys and you start to see them getting chaotic and busy, it's telling you that you've lost your grounding inside. And so what I'm also hearing is, when we lose our grounding, we see the men as busy. When we're calm, we might even see the same behaviors as them being calm. So it's sort of, yeah, we're seeing through the lens of our busyness, aren't we? And yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good.
Yeah.
Because that same busyness might be absolutely fine if you're grounded. It might be that, in fact, it happened in Portland prison when they were all getting busy and noisy, and I went to stop them, and Wilson said, no, let it play out. And then in that moment, that's for me to go, okay, where am I at here? Not, you know, what do you mean, or whatever, not to react to that, oh yeah. And I thought, okay, that's what Wilson's seeing, so I'm gonna step back right now. So you're absolutely right. And I'll add that I've seen exactly the same as what Alfie's talking about. It's a great segue too. When I see somebody else, when I have judgments, and I do have judgments, when I have judgments and I think that somebody's never going to learn, or playing up too much, or whatever it is that I'm judging about that person, that's a sign to me to look at myself. And in that instance, it's a sign to me to look at, I'm not seeing the wellness in that person. To be able to see that bad behavior, if you like, I'm not seeing the wellness, and my job is to see the wellness. My only job is to see the wellness. The words that I use and the stuff that I do around that is form, but my real job is to see the wellness. So exactly the same. And a really good point, Alfie.
Sorry, I just jump in again and say, so would that mean if I perceive someone as being really busy, actually it's probably an indicator to me that I'm busy. Yeah. So it's like always almost looking at what's going on in front as a mirror to, there's something to see in me here.
Yeah.
Or still in me here or something, and then see how it looks kind of on the outside. Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
lovely.
Thanks.
Lovely. I've also found that if I'm using that example, if I'm seeing someone as being really busy, and maybe I don't feel like I'm busy, but what I see is that it triggers in me because I don't like my busyness. So it's still a mirror, you know, so it's still something to look at within yourself. Yeah. Sanjana, you were going to ask or say something?
Yeah, I really like what we're talking about, and it really resonates with me. I think everything is definitely a reflection of our own thinking, and I do want to also add like an insight that kind of came for me and that I've been exploring lately is like just because we recognize that it's our thinking doesn't, like, basically the idea that there is separate realities in our perceptions of the world, but that's not to say, like, for instance, I wouldn't be denying the reality that someone's child died, for instance, or you know, the experiences that people are going through. And I think like, or to say, for instance, you know, being mean to people is okay, and all of that. But I think it's to recognize that we don't know the full story, or, you know, our perceptions of things might be different from the reality of the situation. And I think when we are able to kind of ground ourselves and go back to that neutral or refreshed kind of place, if we need to talk to that person or if we need to confront someone, we can do it from a more compassionate place, that where we actually, you know, have these insights and ideas on how to approach it. Or maybe by the time we're grounded, it might not even seem like something to be addressed. And I really like also how you talked about, I think when the prisoners were like being maybe like kind of loud, and it was kind of hard not to feel maybe scared at that moment, or however you might have felt. But I like the idea of just kind of letting it ride out, because I think I remember, I think it was maybe Dick and Bettinger who's, and I'm probably phrasing this really poorly, but it's about kind of listening to people, and you can listen to people enough that they can almost like heal themselves. When you listen to people, they automatically quiet down, because I think a lot of people's actions are based off of what they think is right, or what they feel will make them feel heard and loved in that moment. And I think listening is that act of love. And once they have that, they feel a lot more grounded too, I think. So I just wanted to share that.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you know, I have been in a room when I haven't known what to do. Because the next part of grounding for me is trust. I think Sanjana mentioned trust. Trust and faith is trusting that something will come. And I've been in a, and someone once said to me, yeah, but what about if something doesn't come? Like, you know, you're there trusting and then something doesn't come. And I've certainly been there where something hasn't come. And I remember saying to the lads, I don't know what to do next, you know, like, what do you want to do? And one of them went, well, aren't you leading the class? Like, aren't you supposed to know what to do? And I actually just thought that was funny, and, you know, and said, yeah, you're right. But, you know, right now, I don't know what to do. So we're going to take a break, because I need a break. The thing about permission to have a break in any situation, it's a given. I would say today, I'm going to give you all permission slips to have a break in any situation, whether it's with a client, in a group, with your partner, in a supermarket. You know, take that permission slip with you, because I honestly believe if the world just knew that they could take a breath, take a beat, sometimes people say, we would have less angst in the world. And all it is, it's when you give yourself permission to take a beat, you allow yourself to reset. And just by that act, you get more onto your grounding. You might still feel a bit shaky or anything, but you get more towards that place of love and compassion that Sanjana talked about. And it's the most helpful thing that I've ever done. So, you know, I literally will say, I need a moment. And actually no one ever minds. And that's the same with writing a letter, you know, writing an email. You get an email from someone that you, maybe I'm the only one who does that, but, you know, I want to like bang out a reply and not be very happy or whatever. I had one recently where someone was connecting me with someone. The connector wanted me to be alerted that they'd made this connection and I should respond immediately. And I was in the middle of making tea and, well, eating tea. And so I went on my phone and I just answered on my phone, and my answer was very short and not very respectful. And so the connector person, you know, rang me and said, your email is very disrespectful and this is a very important person. Can you follow up with a more respectful email? And I felt really triggered, you know, because I was like, I wouldn't have even answered if you hadn't have made me answer. But I knew that the state that I was in was coming from me. And so I was able to, in that moment, just think, okay, I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm just going to say, let me take a look at it. I've just been a bit rushed. Is it okay if I just take another look? Yes, they said. And I calmed down and sent a respectful email. Not that the other one was disrespectful, by the way. It was just a bit, you know, yeah, thanks, I'll meet with you tomorrow type of thing. And I didn't feel calm, but I could see the logic. And the next day I thought, yeah, I understand really what they were talking about. And so what, I felt rushed. I shouldn't have answered an email when I felt rushed. I should have in that moment said, well, I'm going to take a beat. I'm just going to eat my tea and then I can do a considered response on my laptop later. So that permission slip is useful wherever you go. Any more thoughts or questions so far? So can you think of a situation where being grounded would have, or knowing that you weren't grounded would have helped you? You don't have to say it out loud, but you can if you want to.
I had a massive argument with my husband the other day. You'll be surprised to hear. And I've been doing so well recently as well. And I was hormonal, and he said something that really, really triggered me. And I just couldn't stop. I was like, and then he obviously was doing that back. And normally I can go, right, okay, recognize that I'm doing it, but I was so far in, I was like diving down into the depths. And it went on for ages. And in the end, we were in the car as well, so I couldn't escape. on reflection, yeah, I think I could have done with taking a beat.
Oh, but you see it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
only just though. It was a tricky one, but yeah, because it's always how you respond, isn't it, to something rather than
yeah,
what
yeah.
somebody said. Even though, I mean, it still irks me a bit to try and see that it was me. But I can.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not that you don't have a point, is it? It's not that what you want to get across is wrong, or you know, like you
No.
have a point, and there might be something to sort out, and there might be something to be said, but when it's going to come from love and compassion, which is what the grounding does for you, even if it's tough, it's gonna be better in so many ways, because the truth doesn't hurt people. They might feel stung, but it comes with an anesthetic. I mean, most people, I think I've got a video somewhere on the Elsie Spittle story, but I've got an Elsie Spittle story. Do people want to hear that? Do people who've heard it before want to hear it again? Okay. So Elsie Spittle is one of the, you know, the sort of Yodas of the Free Principles, and I spent 4 days with her, and on the first day we had a nice chat, we had a great day, it was really nice, you know. She lives on Salt Spring Island, so it was all beautiful. But when I got back to my place, I thought that was just a chat, like, you know, where's all the insights? When's she going to transform me? And and so I thought, oh, okay, yeah, let's do it differently tomorrow. And when I woke up the next day, I had all these lists of things that I wanted to talk to her about. So I get to Elsie Spittle's house, and we're in this beautiful, peaceful house, and her husband's been fishing, so salmon for dinner. And she was on a couch, and then I was on another couch, and for about 40 minutes I just talked and told her everything that was on my mind, and I saw that she glazed over. I must admit that I did see that, but I was so into it. I just kept going and kept going, and then I'm going to do this, and unfortunately, you know, after 40 minutes, I said, does that make sense? And Elsie Spittle said, I think you need to lie down. And I was just so shocked that that's her response. I think you need to lie down. And she said, well, I do. And so she said, there's you know, a rug, a throw, lie down on your sofa. And so I lay down on my sofa, and she lay down on her sofa. I thought, I've broken Elsie Spittle. And her little feet were sticking out at the other end, and I lay, and I could see out the window, so I was watching the clouds. And as I calmed down, I really saw, like, why did you just do that? I don't even like it when people do that to me, download a whole of stuff. And so, you know, I realized I just downloaded on Elsie. And when she came round, you know, she said, oh, we'll go for a ride. She said, I've never said that to anybody ever before. You know, but you took it really well. And how did it feel? I said, well, it did sting, but I could see the truth in what you were saying. And she said, yeah, when you speak from that place, whatever you have to say, even if it's hard, it comes with the anesthetic of love. And so the other person can hear it, because it's not barbed. And actually it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I saw a lot after that. But Yeah, so you know, I'm the biggest culprit. I've learned from experience. And on reflection, I could see that I really busied up my mind before I went there. And of course, then I wanted to download it, you know, and it's not bad. There's nothing wrong, or it's not a terrible crime or anything. We're going to do that. We're going to get off our grounding. And a little bit like during this session. So just then when I was telling you that story, because I do think it's a funny story and I do enjoy telling it, I got uncalm right then. And I could easily go on then and tell you more stories. But my awareness of grounding enables me to pause and settle back down again. Yeah, it makes sense. The demonstration, the accidental demonstration.
You know what's so interesting, that because I was sort of feeling myself going into a reaction of, but what about the Mama J that needed to be heard and just loved for all those things she was saying? And then I saw the point is that because you were coming from that place, Elsie couldn't hear you. So it could be, if you had been really in your truth and you had needed to voice those things, then you would have felt heard and there would have been value and communication through that. But you're never going to feel heard when you're trying to be heard from that place of busyness. So yeah.
And there's no set rule. There's no, you know, don't take it on board to go and tell people to lie down now. But she was coming from that place, and you're absolutely right. I suspect that if that was something that I needed, she'd have heard me differently, and then there would have been a different response. And that's when the faith and trust comes in, because if you know that I've said things to people that I've been like, wow, that was a bit harsh, but actually it's what they needed to hear, you know, what led then to what came from that was helpful or impactful, or, you know, they needed to hear those words. But I'll only ever say them from that place of, and sometimes I've got a testimonial that will be going out very soon, and so I can tell you it was from Harriet, and Harriet said that, you know, I suddenly said, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say this, you know, and I said this thing and it hurt, but it was the best thing we could have ever done. So it's not that you can't say what's there, but if you know the difference between you when you're a bit and when you're sort of feeling calmer, you can know that whatever's come is meant for that person. And trust, you know, trust mind.
But could you say in that situation then that if you were showing up busy like that it was also a reflection of maybe Elsie's state? Or, you know what I mean? Like we were saying, if we see the guys as busy or outside as busy, it's also a reflection of our state. So that sort of has to be true, maybe, that if Elsie was experiencing you in that way, that maybe something in her was also.
So what she did. We can't talk for other people, but you know, I'll make a little guess here. But for Elsie to say, let me lie down, is the equivalent of me going, I need to take a beat.
Yeah.
She recognized her busyness. She didn't blame me for that. She recognized her busyness and went, wow, yeah, hang on a sec, I can't hear anything. I you know, you need to lie down and I need to lie down. She didn't make me lie down and then went off and did the dishes. She lay down as well, so she let her mind clear, and the busyness sort of seeped out of the room then out of both of us. And I went to where her mind went. Her mind went to a calmer place, and I followed. Has that been helpful? Oh, it just occurred to me when Carola asked if there was a theme for this evening to talk about grounding randomly, and I'd be very happy to do other, sessions like this where it's much more of a sharing experience type of session. When it's my go to be on here, if you would like that, and if you would find that useful. Amazing. Any final thoughts, comments, compliments?
Hi. Don't really know what I'm going to say, but I just felt like I wanted to say that I really appreciate everything you said. I'm kind of like new to the 3 principles, but like it's funny, like when you say things, and when and Alfie was saying things as well, it's like it seems to just like flows through you. Like I can't intellectualize it and say, oh, when you said this, it felt this. It kind of just like goes inside you, and you like, and it makes you realize all these little things. You're like, oh yeah, I do that, and I do this, and yeah, I can see when I do that. So I can't give like a specific thing that I remember that you said, but it's like it all just kind of sinks in, and then it like highlights things for myself that you don't even realize. But yeah, it was just really great. It's funny, like when I have sessions with the 3 principles, like I come back and my husband's like, so what did you talk about? And I'm like, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't actually sit here and tell you, probably you said this, you said that, and blah, blah. Like it's just something that you just feel, and it just like goes into you, like that you can't.
Don't ever change
remember.
That is absolutely spot on, perfect, Emma.
Yeah.
And beautifully put, and beautiful that you are there naturally.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's exactly right, because it really isn't important what we talked about. Bye, Sanjana. It's the feeling that's important, which you probably hear. Yeah. And it is, you put it really nicely. It's what comes alive in you. It's what that meant to you in some way, even if you can't explain it, it's that. So it's that's absolutely fantastic. I love hearing that. Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to say something. I thought I have to say something, but I'm not quite sure what I need to say.
That's lovely. But, yeah. That's perfect. Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
The best place to speak from when you don't know what to say, because it just comes through you. And my best work I do with students. It's just unplanned. And then, that's where magic works. They call it in the 3 Ps, beyond the spoken word, don't they? It's that magic. It's magic. It just comes through us. It's nice. It's beautiful.
And I really didn't know what I was going to say tonight. But when I saw you all on here, I felt a lot of love. And I felt a lot of love back. That's probably me projecting, but there you go. I don't mind. And so I was able then to just go there. So I hadn't planned to say, oh, what's everybody's thoughts on grounding, but that occurred to me in the moment. And and then the conversation, I realized as I said that oh, well, that'll lead the conversation, you know, we'll know where to go. A different group will have different responses and there'll be a different conversation. So you really can always trust that. I've reflected, as in I've been aware of this session coming, and I've been sort of thinking, oh, I you know, what will I talk about? I don't know yet. What will I talk about? I don't know yet. But so it feels like to me that I open the channel for whatever comes. And sometimes when I do that, other things come, you know, some ideas do come, and I might start with that. And sometimes it waits until the moment, and then it comes in the moment. And one of the things that happened when you all shared your experiences and your thoughts on grounding is I got present, because I'd obviously rushed from another meeting. And so I got present with you. And so that was really helpful. So that's it, really.
Oh, let me just say thank you so much, Jacqueline. That was, yeah, really lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice offer too. I think it's a lovely idea that now that you're going to be doing about every 6 weeks, we'll be having buddy calls. So next time Liz is going to lead more of a sort of Q&A session around being a buddy and the letter writing and space for people to share what's going on with their buddies. And then the following one, Jacqueline will be with us and maybe, yeah, lead a session on whatever subject feels right to you.
Yeah, or
It's a
to
really
you.
nice
So,
way to sort of go forward.
yeah, or if people have you know, a topic that they'd like me to talk on, I'd be very, very, very happy to share my thoughts and experiences on anything, really. All right then.
Thank you, Mum
Brilliant.
Jay. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank
Sam,
you.
Liz,
See you
Emma,
soon. Bye.
Dina.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.